This might not be the flashiest pick, but it is the most profitable one. If you want to bet that's actually going to hit, then watch this video. Welcome to Lucrative Hammer of the Week. Welcome back to Lucrative Hammer of the Week, where I tell you the best betting spot on the entire UFC fight card. This weekend, we have Steve Garcia taking on David Onama in the main event in Las Vegas, Nevada, the fight capital of the world. And I cannot wait to talk to you about this card. And more importantly, the very best bet on this fight card. David Onama versus Steve Garcia in the main event is about to be a banger. You already know that. Both of these guys literally swing hammers at each other whenever they step in the octagon. I'm going to speak to you about a different fight, and I'm going to give you a very confident bet of mine. Before we get into the video, please like the video and subscribe to me because it really helps the channel out. So this video is titled Hammer of the Week, right? If you don't know what Hammer of the Week is, it's a weekly video I make on my YouTube channel where I give you one of my best bets on the entire card. One of my most confident plays, one of the plays I feel like has the most value, whatever it may be. Boys, I make about 15 bets on each fight card, right? So definitely don't rely on this video as the only bet I make because I make a lot more. But nevertheless, it is one singular bet that I do like. We are on the best run of my gambling career. We haven't lost in 11 weeks now. If we win this weekend, boys, that's 12 weeks in a row profitable. These numbers are tracked by a third party, so I'm not like all of these other scam decappers on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter that do not track every single bet. Every single bet I've placed over the last 7 years, win or lose, is tracked on a third party where I cannot change those bets once they've made, right? So the industry is filled with scammers. I'm not one, and that's why I'm here every single week, standing in front of the camera, telling you my opinions. Win or lose, I'm here every single week. We're about to make history this week and make it 12 weeks in a row without one loss for everybody in my elite zone and everyone in the VIP. Let's try and do that, and at the same time, let's try and have a winning hammer play. Last week, I gave you Mateus Camilo as an underdog in a fight that was cancelled. Obviously, the Vegas bookmakers have put out the hit on Mateus Camilo and made sure that fight was cancelled because they're scared of us. The very week before that, we cashed on Melissa Croden as an underdog and we cashed on her round 3 prop. I gave you all of this for free. If you want the real sauce, which is not for free because you get a lot more sauce if you pay, the link is in the bio for that. But I am going to give you a banger of a hammer this week. So without further ado, let's run it and get into the hammer of the week.
Quite a view. Vegas looks good tonight.
That from Carter, he's backing him up!
Wait, someone's coming into the cave.
Is this part of the show?
Got a hammer! Everybody move back! Oh my God!
Explosion. What in the world?
There it is, lads. Suk-Hyung Ko at odds of -180 in his fight against Phil Rowe this weekend. So some of you guys might not even know who Suk-Hyung Ko is.
When I knock people out, they don't fucking move. Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
Well, I'm about to tell you. Suk-Hyung Ko is one of my favorite fighters on the UFC roster in 2025. He's one of my favorite modern day UFC fighters. And you might ask me why. Well, because this guy has cashed me big bags. Bags and bags and more bags. Suk-Hyung Ko burst onto the scene in his Dana White's Contender Series fight against Cavalcante in a fight where he's a plus 350 underdog and he won every single round of that contest. And then he made his subsequent UFC debut against Oban Elliott in a fight where he was a plus 400 underdog and he won every single round of that contest. So this guy has been traditionally underrated by the bookmakers, and even though he's gone from a plus 400 to a minus 180, I still think he's being underrated at this price tag. Ko is a very, very legitimate fighter. Good striking, good range management. He reminds me of Conor McGregor a little bit in his fight style, in his stance, the way he moves. Am I saying that he's exactly the same as Conor McGregor? No. Am I saying that he reminds me of him? Yes. The way he moves, the way he throws his shots, his stance, like I said, it's very reminiscent of 145-pound Conor McGregor. And that means that it's very hard to get a judge and a beat on his timing, his rhythm, his distance management, etc., etc. Now, he's very different from Conor McGregor because he's not a pure striker. This guy actually has won his 2 fights in the UFC. A lot of them have been through grappling. He took down Oban Elliott at will. Ko has an arsenal of takedowns. He has single legs and double legs like traditional takedowns, and we see that throughout his career, to be honest. But something that interests me a lot with him, and I think that it sets him apart from a lot of grapplers and a lot of fighters, is that he has very elite judo throws and trips. You know, hip tosses, these sort of things. Now, oftentimes we don't see this in modern MMA. It's just very hard to defend, right? The main reason I'm picking Ko is because Phil Rowe, his opponent, loves to be grappled. I mean, Phil Rowe has been taken down in almost all of his UFC fights and controlled for a hell of a lot of time once he's been taken down as well. Phil Rowe has pretty good jiu-jitsu off his back. So sometimes what he likes to do is just sit down, play jiu-jitsu, and let his opponent win from top position. That's not what you want to do against someone like Ko. I don't think Phil Rowe's going to submit Ko from his back. So I feel like Ko's going to be able to stay on top, deliver damage, and just win the minutes. Phil Rowe has 8 fights under the UFC banner. And out of those 8 opponents, 6 have taken him down. He has given up 13 takedowns in his first 8 UFC fights. Phil Rowe is not a bad fighter. In fact, he's a good fighter. But he's a limited fighter. I think Ko is the much better, well-rounded fighter. I think Ko has better kicks, better distance control, range management, and I think he has much better grappling. So I suspect that he's going to take the fight down at will and basically win the fight from there. He can also crack Phil Rowe on the feet as well. Don't forget, Phil Rowe has been hurt and wobbled in a lot of fights. In his very last fight against Ange Loosa cracked him with massive shots. Dropped him in that fight. In his Dana White's Contender Series fight, he was hurt badly. In his UFC debut, he was hurt multiple times in that contest. I would not be surprised at all if Ko was able to win the striking. Right? I'm not saying it's only a grappler. I would not be surprised at all if Ko was able to hurt him on the feet, land some good shots. He's got good leg kicks. And like I said, very reminiscent of Conor McGregor in his range control. And I think he can land that rear hand for sure. Phil Rowe's going to need to defend the takedowns or get back up from the takedowns and land a shot in the boxing range. And in my opinion, he needs a knockout to win this fight. Can he do it? Yes. He needed a knockout in his last fight, it seemed, and he got a knockout in his last fight. We cashed on that as well. The Elite Zone cashed big on the fight doesn't go to a decision. It was an amazing bet. Both fighters got dropped, and yeah, that was a great bet. That cashed there. And I kind of feel like Phil Rowe is in the same position where he needs to land a knockout. Can Ko be knocked out? Yes. We've seen it on the regional scene before. He has been knocked out. He has been hurt. But at the end of the day, it was a perfect shot when Ko was in a range where he didn't see it. It was very close. Beautiful knockout, to be honest. But at the end of the day, man, this is fighting, and you can get knocked out. Like I said, Phil Rowe's been hurt, dropped multiple times. So I'm going to pick Ko for this week's Hammer of the Week. Boys, what we're going to do now is we're going to add some props on. I'm going to give you some cool props in our section called Ladder the Hammer, which is basically where I give you some extra bets to add on to our main play. Before we get into the Ladder the Hammer section, I want you to comment down below your Hammer of the Week. And if it wins, I'm going to shout it out on next week's show. So let's have a look at last week's comments on my Hammer of the Week video and we'll see who cashed out. So boys, here's a couple ones. And it's funny because every single time, like since I've started doing the show, every single time I go back and I look at the comments of that old show, I realize, even though I know because I do it full time, but I realize how hard it is to bet on MMA, man. Because 90% of the comments on every single one of my videos is wrong. You know, and that's just Hammer of the Week. It's just asking for one of your most confident bets. And 90% of the comments are always wrong. So shouting out a couple of the guys who were right. First of all, I want to shout out Tucson Mao. He said Joutton made it via decision, odds of plus 367. Obviously, Joutton didn't win via decision, but I felt like he deserved that decision. So, you know, unlucky, brother. I wanted to give you a shout out just because you should have cashed. I know a lot of people scoring it for Volkov. I bet on Volkov. So, you know, I'm not biased. I don't think Volkov won the fight. I understand an argument to some degree. But anyway, unlucky, my man. And it's funny because one man's pain is another man's pleasure. As we can see here from Isna Gup X672. He said Alexander Volkov via decision, Hammer of the Year. Right, so he cashed. Well, the guy who bet on Joel on decision didn't cash. Like, it's a tough game, man. Congratulations from you, brother. You cashed on that one. A couple people mentioned Walter Walker inside the distance. Walter Walker via finish, so well done. He got another heel hook. That was crazy. Mr. Twistmatic, I wanted to mention you because this was a great one. Mirzakhanov KO at plus 185. It looked easy. It was like the first punch he really landed. He knocked him out. So shout out to you. You'll also see a bunch of 200 units commented on like all of my videos and stuff like that. So if you don't know what that is, because I've got a lot of those comments, it's a reference to the amount of units we are trying to win this year. If you don't know what units are, I'm not going to tell you. Just research professional betting. But basically everybody in my elite zone, everybody in the VIP is pushing for 200 units profit this year. It just basically means a fuck ton of money. So I love to see it, lads. I want to shout out you, shout out everyone commenting 200 units. I love to see it. It motivates me. We're at 176 units, 177, I believe. So we're only 23 units off to make this a historic year. It already is historic, but let's continue it. So boys, now let's take a look at a couple of the props that we can add on to our Hammer of the Week and move on to my favorite section of the show, Ladder the Hammer. All right, boys, so if you don't know what Ladder the Hammer is, it basically is a section where we add on some props that we can ladder onto our main moneyline play or our main play. So our main hammer of the week is going to be Suk Hyun Ko at odds of -180, right? Now, I'm looking at the odds and I'm thinking, how is Ko going to win the fight? Can he win it via decision? Can he win it via submission? Boys, the second rung of the ladder, I'm going to go Suk Hyun Ko via decision. The reason I'm going to add this bet in is because I really think Phil Rowe's a pretty tough guy. I don't think Ko has amazing power on the feet, and I don't think he has great submission skills. I think he's just a very solid, well-rounded fighter that does what he needs to do to win. Yes, he can finish the fight, but I like the decision one here for the second rung of our ladder. So we got a decision prop on the second rung of our ladder. Well, there's not much wiggle room after that, right? Because if he wins via decision, there's not many more props we can add. But you know your boy's got you. We're going to go with Suk Hyun Ko -3.5. So this is a point spread, and yes, a lot of people won't be able to bet this because it's not available everywhere. But boys, I think he's going to win via decision. So I can't give you 2 rungs of the ladder because once we bet via decision, that's all we can bet. But what I'm going to do is not only give you the -3.5, but I'm also going to give you Suk Hyun Ko to win the fight via unanimous decision. I don't think this is going to be a close fight. I don't think there's going to be a split decision or majority. Suk Hyun Ko is going to win a unanimous decision, in my opinion. So that, accompanied with the -3.5, is going to be at the top rung of our ladder. Boys, like I said, this is just one play I have, right? The hammer of the week is one play. If you really want to make real money from sports betting, from MMA betting, I can show you how. All you need to do is click the link in my bio and you're going to find out a lot more information there. Outside of that, keep watching from the sidelines, keep watching the YouTube channel. And as always, I'll continue to bring YouTube videos to try and help you put money in your pocket as best as I can. If you do click the link, I'll see you in the VIP group chat. We can chat there. Outside of that, good luck this weekend, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.